Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of your Monday Mojo with me, Coach Mo. Today, we are going to wrap up our conversation about Marshall Goldsmith's book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, one of my favorite and easy to read leadership books because it really distills down to the nitty gritty those habits that we as leaders have that can derail us and disengage our team. And so I'm going to just talk about a couple more before we move back into learning the talents behind the Strengths Finder assessment so that we can learn more about who we are, what makes us unique, and how we can leverage our talents every day as leaders to be more effective and more engaging. Okay? So, two of 12 things that can derail us, bad habits that can derail us as leaders. Two of them that I want to talk today about are withholding information and failing to give proper recognition. And the reason why I want to talk about these is because they're very related to the science behind engagement, right? What causes people to be disengaged? There are many reasons, but three of them include number one, when we don't allow our team members the opportunity to both identify and leverage on a day-to-day basis their talents, right? So that they can become strengths. Number two, we fail to give recognition, right? And just light up our team on a regular basis and call out what they're doing really well, okay? Have them shine, give them that stage to shine. And number three, when we show them that we really don't trust them, right? And that we're not willing to help them and develop them. That's another reason why people become disengaged. And so these two habits are really very aligned with the reasoning behind disengagement. Okay, let's look at the first one, failing to give proper recognition. Boy, I've been at the end of this, right? And I'm sure that many of you can relate to this at some point in your career, perhaps when you were not a leader. I know that happened to me once when I was, again, I consider myself to be a very high potential leader, right? Growing up in the workforce and always knowing, where I wanted to go and really striving to get there. So having someone that was supporting me in that and helping me to become that person was something that I was really hopeful for and looking for in the workplace. And I remember one time, actually many times, I was in an organization where the leader just couldn't give credit. And at first it was very frustrating for me. And later I recognized the pattern that it was just something that she was unable to do and she wasn't conscious of it, right? And we as leaders need to understand if we have a habit like that because it could really jeopardize our team. In my case, every time someone recognized me for something that I did well, she would hop in and sort of break up that conversation and take credit for some of that recognition. And so at first it was very disarming, and over time it just really became something that did in fact disengage me and had me not want to be a part of that team any longer. So again, for those of us who are managing others and really want to be excellent leaders in the workplace every single day, let's consider, are we giving credit where credit is due? It doesn't mean we're not going to give ourselves credit. Absolutely, we need to do that. But when our team members are doing exceptional work, why don't we recognize them? How can we recognize them? And especially when we can do that in a one-on-one conversation, and also where we do it in front of others, where we're showing that we really appreciate people for what they bring to the table and those things that they're doing really, really well. A great way to engage your team members, okay? So bring some awareness around that for yourself as a manager and as a leader and see where you can do a little bit more of it to engage your team. The second thing that can really derail us as leaders is withholding information, right? And this is defined in the book as the refusal to share information in order to maintain an advantage over others, right? So at the foundation, this is about power. This is about leaders who always want to feel like they're in control and they have information that they're going to keep close to their chest because if they share it, then they are losing power, right? But think about this in a team environment. If you're not willing to give your team members all of the information necessary in order for them to do a good job, then you are really holding them back from being successful. Not only them as being successful, but you as being successful because you're not going to give them the tools that they need to actually do a good job for the task that you're giving them. Does that make sense? So think about that, right? Some of the ways that we can withhold information are, let's say you're on the opposite end, right? A meeting you weren't told about, right? So something that's very specific to a job that you're doing, and yet there was a meeting and you weren't told about it, okay? A memo or an email that you were not copied on, right? So other people have information that you don't. Or a moment when you were the last person to learn something. I am sure that each of you watching this video can recall a scenario where this was the case and you're questioning, why am I not being given the information and or the tools that I need to be able to do a good job? This is one of the things that can disengage us. So for those of us who are managing and leading others, ask yourself, are you withholding information that you should be sharing? And ask yourself why, right? And if something deep down is telling you that it's because you are afraid that you're going to lose power, that's something that you need to work through and nip it in the bud. Because at the end of the day, what you're sharing with your individuals at a subconscious level is that you don't trust them and you're not willing to really help them and develop them to be the best that they can be. So those are my tips for today. I hope that you will, become conscious about whether those are things that you are doing so that we can, again, put a stop to that and make sure that we're doing the best that we can do as managers and leaders to engage our people. Next week, we'll go back into strengths and start looking at those talents that help us to be super influential as leaders. Have a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I'll catch you next week. Go get your cup of joe. Bye-bye.